It's widely acknowledged that Vertigo is perhaps Hitchcock's most personal film, known as a controlling, at times cruel director, and that seems to be putting it lightly. Nowadays, it would simply be referred to as abusive. The famous phrase was that he would treat his actors like cattle, and he kind of agreed with that, if slightly jokingly, on a talk show once. He had a picture-perfect vision in his mind of every film he made, formed during the writing process. And he'd say that he had this highly visual mind, and that meant that the final cut of the film was fully constructed from the screenplay, which he'd supervise every single draft of, asking the writers to tell the story visually. From there, he once claimed that the film may as well not be made, because not only was the fun part over, but 40% of the vision would be lost in shooting it. Yet, despite all the stories about how strict he was, Hitchcock was still known to deviate and change things while filming. He would revise the script. There's a lot said about how he would strictly storyboard entire films, sometimes as a way to tell studio execs that the film had already been visualised in one way, so it couldn't possibly be changed for another. There's division over the extent to which this was the case. It's said that the crop duster scene in North by Northwest was storyboarded after shooting, with the studio asking for one to be made simply for publicity. But there is a sketch or diagram that's online that the film's cinematographer made of all the different camera angles against the layout of the scene, and it looks like Christopher Nolan mapping out the timeline of one of his films. But the short of all of this is how strict Hitchcock was in terms of sticking to storyboards, and the script as it stood on day one of filming slightly varies. But there's certainly a lot to be said about him setting out to achieve the vision that was in his mind. He was a perfectionist, and the image had to be just right. In Vertigo, James Stewart Scotty obsesses over having some form of resolution or resolve about the death of a friend's wife that he believes he witnessed. His madness grows to the point where he needs to recreate the image that's in his dizzying mind. Love, obsession, and desperation begin to bunch up into a confused sense of delirium. The way he treats Kim Novak's character in the second half of the film leads him to trying to place her in the box that many claim is shared by most, if not all, of Hitchcock's female characters. Roger Ebert said in his Great Movies essay on the film that the formula for these characters would pretty much be the same: blonde, icy, remote, and mesmerising to the male leads. And perhaps in that regard, after having followed and been fascinated by the woman who looks like her for so long, Scotty needs that image back and becomes a reflection of Hitchcock, falls into the role of director. Obsession dominates the various cycles which crop up throughout the film. There are circles and spirals in many of the visuals, the score from the very start, and the narrative itself, pushing the repetition and madness, the looping obsession that's plaguing the mind of Stewart's character as he tries to analyse then recreate these images and memories. There's long been said to be not just a reflection of Hitchcock in Vertigo, but a film about cinema, the lore of film, Stewart playing the role of the audience, following the work of Tom Helmore's Gavin as the director, before perhaps buying in too much and turning director himself, or even just feeling a false control still as the audience. Either way, there's still a sense of awareness coming from Hitchcock about his own role as director and the control and effect that comes with that. Later in the film, as he once again fixates on the idea of recreating memories over fact to deal with trauma, Scotty demands, did he train you? Did he rehearse you? Did he tell you exactly what to do, what to say? All whilst continuing the cycle by doing the same. The situation echoes a line said in Lost Highway, which is the David Lynch film that's been paired with this as an inspiration for it. And it's said by Bill Pullman's character, Fred. He says, "I like to remember things my own way, as I remember them, not necessarily how they happened. As they are in his mind, not necessarily in the script or on a storyboard, because that's where the most perfect final cut image is, and it has to be recreated with as much attention to detail as possible to get the best final product. With that obsession to do so, creating a cruel, controlling attitude with damaging results for those nearby, or rather, for the women being put into the Hitchcock mould." Thank you everyone so much for your time. Please sit back, relax, and enjoy Alfred Hitchcock's Vertigo.